before we dive into, my review and my take on the Battlefield RedSec Battle Royale, I'm gonna give you a little bit of background of what type of, FPS player I am. Started off with, Call of Duty multiplayer, and I really did fall in love with the OG Verdansk when Warzone originally came out back in 2019, 2020. But, after them not really making good maps for the BR anymore, and they kind of just kept going downhill. So I stopped playing that. And for me, I'm not a BR type of guy, but for me to be able to actually enjoy and have so much fun, with my friends, shout out to Thunder, J-Mac, and Mello. We're running up a few battle royales in this gameplay right here. We're going to have a few matches, and towards the end is where we actually start to understand the battle royale a lot more, and we start to do better coordinating as a team. But let's get into the first talking point, which is time to kill. It is definitely, from what I remember, a lot faster than Warzone is, because I think Warzone you get either 2 or 3 plates. I'm not too sure. I don't remember. It's been a while since I touched, Warzone, and I really like that the TTK is very harsh, because it makes every move and every push have so much, tension and consequence if you move the wrong way. You might feel like you see us in the beginning looting all these buildings. We could have a squad that already has, really nice ARs and really good weapons already, depending on, some RNG comes into it. Sometimes they'll find better loot boxes than we did, and we could get completely destroyed in a matter of 2 minutes. I like that tension and pressure, and, I'm really enjoying the realistic TTK. It's still forgiving compared to, the multiplayer version of Battlefield 6. So it's like somewhere in the middle. I feel like it's really good, So you're not going to be sliding around while somebody's cracking with a DMR from a proper range. You will get dropped. You will get killed. And I could very much appreciate that. And yeah, it's very, very brutal. But I'm a fan of it. If you guys don't like a faster TTK, maybe it's not for you, but at the very least what I can say is it's free. It'll only cost you some time, so it's definitely not too bad. If it costs you money, we'll be talking a little bit differently, of course. But tanks and vehicles, people don't really like that there's tanks, and I believe there is some aircrafts I think I've seen before, but I feel like they are properly balanced. Now in multiplayer, you can have unlimited ammo with some of the gunners in the tanks and hundreds of, explosive rounds in your tank. But they've taken a very smart approach, because if somebody gets that tank and they have an engineer just repairing them along with all those missiles, and especially when you add in the building's destruction, you can't hide. They could literally level out buildings with those explosive rounds and make buildings collapse, making it impossible to hide from a tank or to try to get away easily. So what they did was they have a lot less ammo. You'll see I actually get into a tank with my boy Mello a little bit later in the gameplay, and I'm used to the gunner having a shit ton of ammo or unlimited ammo, not the explosive ones, but just the regular bullets. And I think I ran out of ammo just trying to kill one person and lay down some cover fire. So they lowered that, and also the tank's health is a lot less. So I believe it's 2 rockets for a guaranteed kill. And like I said, especially if you catch them without an engineer, so it makes it more properly balanced. And also look around when someone has a tank before you start trying to blow it up. Look to see if there's somebody on the outside, or somebody pops out when you hit them with a rocket. More than likely that's their engineer trying to heal their tank. Taking that guy out as soon as you can, or spotting them before they even get a chance to heal, is going to be essential for you, taking down those tanks. See, right here, this is how we coordinated this building. Instead of us all stacking up, right? What I did was I was like, yo, Indian, let's go around the building, while, they push the other side. So I went around and I was able to flank him out very easily. And coordinating like that will definitely be the difference of you surviving and dying. And like I said, the intensity and the brutalness, especially of the zone, that's another talking point as well. It's not something where we could just toss on a gas mask like Warzone and run out into the out of bounds area, or in the zone for 10 to 15 seconds because we have gold gas mask, and make a crazy flank play, you literally start taking damage even before the zone's actually touching you, and everybody starts doing damage with the fire. Not only does it look beautiful and very cinematic, but again, it's very unforgiving, and it's gonna force people that are hanging back too much and not properly rotating the map, and makes them, have to move. And if your team is coordinated well enough to properly rotate the map, then you will definitely be rewarded for the knowledge and the coordination. But if you're not, you're going to have to make some pushes with other teams that have, not moved much. And more than likely, you're just going to get into all-out battle and definitely either die or lose some squad mates, which, we don't want to happen. But balancing things out, though, with your squad is very important, You don't need to have a whole team of engineers or anything like that. I also found out the assault class. You guys were complaining, or some people were complaining about the armor plates being very, very slow as far as, loading them up. If you run the assault class, it's 33% faster to replace your armor plates. So that could be definitely something you could look at running. And also we talk about the redeploy beacon. So it's not like people are unlimitedly just coming back. And also, this is sometime I do learn this in the gameplay here, but I didn't realize that I still had the engineer tool and I could open up those safes. They have more valuable loot and, intel cases and things like that. And I'm still learning as I go because I haven't played it too much. We only played a handful of matches here, but running the assault, you can go to this redeploy beacon, and it's kind of like capturing like an objective, and then like once you fully capture it, you could redeploy your teammate. And with the assault, you actually capture that point a lot faster. I'm not sure the exact percentage, maybe at least 10 to 15% faster. And the more teammates on the redeploy beacon also will speed up the process. And the coolest part about it is it also makes a very, very loud noise, like almost like a tornado siren type of noise. So if somebody is anywhere near that redeploy beacon, they're going to hear you, and they'll be able to make a push while you're weak, missing however many squad mates, depending on, because I think there's duos, trios, and quads. So depending on that, you might be missing your whole team or just missing one squad mate. So I think that puts a lot more intensity, and it's forcing that, the idea of to not make any mistakes. You make these mistakes, you will pay for it, and can potentially cost you the entire game almost immediately. Again, it feels like a more improved, realistic version of what Warzone should have been trying to be. And Warzone never really, I felt like, innovated or tried anything different. And I heard they had a map, and it was so bad that they scrapped it, and they're doing Verdansk again, I believe, for the next Warzone. Don't quote me on it, but that's what I heard from some of the guys that still play Warzone, that they were very, very unhappy with the map. Didn't get good reception, so they're just like redoing another map. I mean, Verdansk was great at its time, but man, I think it's time to move on. Oh, also, there's a pretty cool like little feature. It's small, but I'm not sure if you guys play Warzone. I'm not sure if they added something like that, but you could deploy as a squad. So like what I mean is, like when we jump out the plane, the squad leader, you could choose to separate, but like we'll actually like stick together kind of. Like, and he can control, like Mello was the jump leader. When he clicks X, we all deploy at the same time. Something like that reminds me of like those like, SEAL team shows or movies. Like it's a small thing, but I very much appreciate it, and I think it's very cool, a bit immersive. But you can also separate from your teammate if you're trying to venture off into a slightly different area or not be too grouped up. That's definitely fun. I was trying to break that with my knife. Did not work. Oh yeah, here's the gameplay right here. We did some type, I think it's one contract. You do one of these contracts you pick up and you get access to a tank. Now, I wasn't even looking at the bullets because this is the first time we got a tank. Got a little trigger happy. It happens. And look, we only have 120 rounds here. And I'm not sure how much explosive ammo he does have, but it's probably less than 120. So we have to, be very smart with it. And we should be using it to, more rotate and not necessarily trying to kill people, but just using it as a means to survive. But we're not BR guys, I'm not. Mello prefers more of the multiplayer like I do, and yeah, even with that, we can still very much enjoy Battlefield RedSec. Like whenever some of our friends do want to run some BR games, it's still fun to play. But is it going to be my type of content, my type of thing to do all the time? Not really. I will do some content on it when we do run them for sure, and maybe even streaming it in the future along with multiplayer. I definitely don't mind. Like, it's actually fun, and that's coming from somebody that's not even a BR guy at all. And the main reason why I loved Warzone, they had something called Plunder, and it was whichever teams collected the most cash will win. And you do contracts. It almost operates just like Warzone, but you get to spawn in with your custom loadout and unlimited respawns based on like a timer. And I got to enjoy the Warzone map and the Warzone feel with, the ability to have custom loadouts the entire time. So that's what I played mostly. So it doesn't have something like that, but I still had so much fun. So I definitely really love it. As far as in like the map, the immersion, and everything that comes together with Battlefield RedSec, I definitely think this is a W. Is it going to be everyone's cup of tea or everyone's choice? Of course not. What I do love, as far as in being a new Battlefield player and loving the game, is it's going to bring so many more people to probably buy the multiplayer and to just get into the Battlefield experience. I played a very light amount of Battlefield 2042, and unfortunately that's one of their worst games compared to Battlefield 3, 4, 1, and even 5. Some people say 5 is even better. I don't know too much history on that. I only go off of what I've seen. Battlefield 4 looked really cool, but Battlefield 6 really hooked me in very early from the beta, and to have this extension and option, it's beautiful. But everything that's beautiful can always have a con. So now let's get into the possible con of having a battle royale tied to a game that's primarily a multiplayer game. I don't think they're like Activision at all. I think they learned a lesson from one bad game versus Call of Duty having 10 bad games in a row. It feels like they just can't come out with a good Call of Duty to save their life, in my opinion, coming from somebody who's played it for so long. But the con is, if they start making a lot of money and more of the player base is in Battle Royale, I just don't want that taking up the resources and the priority over multiplayer. Because at the end of the day, Battlefield's bread and butter is going to be its multiplayer. And yeah, I just want them to focus on that for the most part. Still have a great team dedicated to, this Battle Royale and to keep running it. And it's definitely going to drive the player base up. It's going to have more people buy your game. Because I think there is a way to get custom loadouts, and a lot of people that will love your BR, they'll be like, oh yeah, let me cop that multiplayer, can't wait to level up such and such gun, and it will get more people playing, more people buying. It's the most important part. At the end of the day, more money means bigger budget, bigger teams, better resources for better games. If used like that, I have no problem with this. But if they start just coming out with massive updates for the BR, and then we're still suffering from the smaller maps and some of the issues that are going on in multiplayer, then that's obviously a major issue. And I also saw a Jack Frags video, which was beautiful. Definitely check out Jack Frags. Probably know him if you do watch Battlefield. They actually took a section of the golf course of this part of this map actually, and it flows like an OG like conquest map. Like, it's beautiful, like it's so much space and it looks like it belongs in Conquest. So hopefully, maybe if it even wasn't part of the plan, that they can just take sections of this, like of the Battle Royale map, and just make it into Conquest maps. Even if that wasn't part of the plan, that's even better for them. They get to come out with more content and just listen to the community. They made custom servers for what I just said, and when I was watching them play it, it looks fantastic. Like, it looks like DMRs can shine, snipers can shine, everything could really have fun and balance. I'm just hoping for those bigger maps for sure, for the multiplayer. And also another good point for Battle Royale is get used to coordinating with your squad, and you'll have a lot more success. If you're pushing in the house, one goes to the front door, you go through the side, have the other one go through the back. Just so if there's anybody hiding in houses or certain type of warehouse type of areas where there is different lines of sight and multiple levels, less likely to get, murdered in your first push to like another house that you're trying to loot. And again, I know I've already said this, but the map is gorgeous. Like, I love the coloring of the map and just the flow of it. I mean, I loved it. A lot of these sections I like a lot more than our multiplayer maps. See, that's the con I was talking about, is without this BR, these sections of these maps would have probably been potential multiplayer maps we would have had on launch or anything, but they separated it for a battle royale. Now, did they use more of their creativity and their designers for the battle royale to compete with Warzone instead of, fully focusing on multiplayer, and we just get to take a back seat to a game mode that's going to take priority? I hope not. Let's hope that, maybe them hearing that, they're like, oh shit, we could just, instead of pushing out some of these maps they may not like, we can actually just take sections of the battle royale and include them with the maps we already plan to release. I think that would be very, very smart of them. And it will prevent that issue of, one game mode or one, part of the game taking priority over the other, because then you're just gonna spit in the face of the classic Battlefield community, which is most of the people supporting you is mainly from that Battlefield community. You don't want to shit on the people that are putting money in your pockets, essentially, especially for players that probably will move on at some point from this battle royale. It's new, it's popping, they're gonna see big numbers, of course, but that usually changes. You saw Warzone. I don't think it's gonna fall down like Warzone. I feel like they're still gonna be making really cool maps and more content and different game modes for the battle royale, but we gotta see. They might not be able to maintain it well, and it might get canned before the next game comes out. I hope not, though. I just wish we could have balance on both, and I'm happy with that. Definitely has some trigger discipline. I think I just saw somebody, if I'm not mistaken. Sometimes you don't always want to fire at people because they're too far, or there's another group like that was looking at that group, and now they see you on the map. They'll let y'all fight, and they'll come in and finish y'all off. Yeah, you see, like, it's way too far from my gun. Especially with 2 plates he probably has. Not even going to be able to crack his armor plates. So, you just ping it for the team. But yeah, it definitely feels like an improved version of, what OG Warzone was trying to do. And, it's funny that they have the term Warzone in quotations, because you can't hide anywhere. You can literally just destroy buildings with, RPGs, destroy sections of rooms and inside the building interiors with grenades. I mean, man, the level of immersion I have in this game, and even in the battle royale as well, the destruction, the environment, and the tension you will always feel playing Battlefield is next to no other feeling I've ever felt before. And that's coming from somebody who played, Rainbow Six Siege for a very long time. It's a tactical shooter, and it's a lot more intense than this, but this is just a different level of immersion, and some of the stuff you see is almost out of like a Michael Bay film. So I can't give them enough credit for that. Like I told you on this channel, I give credit where it's deserved, but again, also I will, give my opinions if I feel like, you did something wrong, or if something needs to be called out for sure. AC TTK is definitely faster in Warzone from what I remember. Warzone, sometimes people could tank a whole mag depending on what type of gun you're using. That's definitely not fun, so I like the intensity of it for sure. But yeah, like, look at this. I'm not even, like, technically hitting the zone. I'm already taking damage like crazy. Look at this. We're like 20-30 meters away, and we're still taking damage. Definitely run out with that knife. You run a lot faster. You just basically sprint and hold R3, and boom, you could, sprint a lot faster, but use it with caution. Sometimes you get caught off guard, and somebody's watching an angle you're running to, and boom, you're dead. But again, that's the decision making, the intensity, and the tension you will feel playing this mode. At least I could definitely recommend it for sure. I even recommend the Battlefield 6 multiplayer, despite some of my problems with the map sizes. But besides that, I have so much fun on there. I've already put in a good amount of hours on Battlefield 6. I think I put in about 40 hours probably in the first week or week and a half. I haven't played FPS that much in so long. And the fact that it's having me not play combat games, which is what I love to play the most in particular, and I have a channel for that as well. I just can't believe this game's caught my attention this heavily. So definitely recommend giving this a try. You know, even for me not being a BR guy, I'm very happy with this. You know, it's definitely something to switch up from the multiplayer from time to time. But as I said before, is it like the most groundbreaking battle royale? Maybe not. Like I told you, it's more of an improved version of a great formula that Warzone had, you know? So definitely, in my opinion, I think anybody that loves, you know, FPS games like COD, Warzone, etc., definitely think you're gonna have a blast checking out this battle royale. I mean, am I permanently gonna be playing it? I mean, let's see in the future. You know, if it does well on the channel in the future at some point, definitely do some streaming as well in the future. And man, if it does well on the channel, of course, I definitely don't mind playing this for the channel from time to time. I'm mainly invested in that multiplayer. That's the core experience I really love, and I'm gonna stick to, like, for the most part. So if it did really well on the channel, probably be like an 80-20 balance, that type of thing. You know, who knows, I might fall in love with it even more the more, you know, I learn the mechanics of it and everything. So I mean, hey, but glad you guys hopped in for this review. Hopefully, you know, I encourage you guys to at least give Battlefield RedSec a, you know, a fair chance. It is free and it only costs you some time. So, you know, appreciate you guys checking out the video. More content.